Hey guys, what's up? This is Panther Dragon, and today we'll be doing the top 5 champions for every role in solo queue. Now, I stated before that I wouldn't be doing this series anymore, but this is one of my best video series for my channel, and I don't want to get rid of that, and I want to give what the people want. I was just going batshit insane because every time I would do a tier list, a new patch would come out, and then I'd just be like, fuck. So I came up with a solution that might be better for both of us. I'll be listing the previous tier list, and then I'll list the top 5 for that role, and then I'll just explain why I think this is going here or whatever, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah, with that being said, let's get started with the new tier lists. Alright, so previously at number 1 was Rengar, at number 2 was Jarvan, number 3 Kha'Zix, number 4 Elise, and last but not least, Pantheon. But in the recent patch, Rengar has been nerfed, and I guess a little opinion has changed about Pantheon. So with all that being said, at number 1 is Jarvan, number 2 Kha'Zix, number 3 Elise, number 4 Pantheon, and number 5 Elise. So I guess the first question you might be wondering is Rengar really that bad that he's not in tier list anymore? In my opinion, well, he's still kind of good. Like, he still has that mini Nocturne ulti, but the only thing that made him really OP was how often he could use his ultimate, and so every lane was open to ganks, and it was really easy for him to get in. And now, since the cooldown is longer, he's basically like Nocturne, but in my opinion, Nocturne makes a better fighter, a better tank with a spell shield, and can cause confusion in a team fight since his ultimate makes the enemy blind. So yeah, I really don't think Rengar is that good anymore. His early game was what made him really strong, and now that they took that out, since his mid game and late game are pretty bad, I don't feel he was as strong as he used to be. Alright, so number 5 is Lee Sin. Obviously they did nerf his attack speed slow from his E and the shield duration, but his utility is still there. I just do feel like he's a bit weaker than before, but whatever, he was mainly for utility anyways. And I guess I list him pretty high up in the tier list because I do feel like if you aren't god at Lee Sin, or just really good at him, then I don't think you should play him. And so that's my conclusion about him. Like, if you were decent at him, yeah, you could play him because he was kind of OP back then, but now since he's all utility, eh. And previously in patch 4.13, number 1 was Talon, number 2 was Ahri, and at number 3 was Twisted Fate, while at number 4 was Fizz, and at number 5 was Xerath or Ziggs because they were kind of the same champion in a sense. But now in patch 4.14, my opinion has changed about one champion and Zed got a buff. So my new mid tier list goes something like Talon at number 1, Ahri at number 2, Zilly Baby at number 3, Twisted Fate at number 4, and Zed at number 5. Okay, so number 3 is Zilean, and you might be wondering why. Alright, so first off to start is levels are important. Zilean indirectly gives bot lane the level 2 advantage always, and so that kinda helps in the first early levels. Now, why do I find him so strong? So his time bombs have one of the highest base damages in the game, and combine that with a max leveled rewind and 40% CDR, that's a lot of sustained damage in team fights. Also it's AoE. And he also brings a lot of utility with his ultimate reviving someone and giving that speed buff or slowing people down, which means he's a pretty good chaser. This makes his mid game extremely strong as it is hard to deal with a Zilean ultimate and all his time bombs doing an immense amount of damage in team fights, and his roaming is really good since he gets a lot of speed from his E, and his ultimate actually gives him dive potential since he can just suicide into the tower and revive. So yeah, once he gets like 40% CDR and enough mana to sustain himself, he just becomes really annoying. And trust me, he takes 0 skill because I can play him, so he's really easy to use and to pick up. The only thing you have to really do is time your ults correctly and learn how to CS with him. And next question you might be wondering is Zed replace Fizz? So with that new buff that Zed got where he appears behind the enemy is actually a huge buff to assassins because now they have to go around you to get away from you. And so now it's actually easier for Zed to kill the enemies, and once he's got that shuriken spinning on top of their heads, he can just warp out to safety, which makes him extremely slippery to catch. Although he does have his flaws to his late game since how much counters he has, like Zhonya's and Quicksilver Sash. So yeah, I recommend not getting to late game with him since there's a lot of counters. Just stay early game and mid game and you're good to go. Next up is the support tier list, and in patch 4.13, number 1 was Morgana, number 2 was Alistar, number 3 was Nami, number 4 was Braum, and number 5 was Leona. And not much has really changed except Alistar and Nami have swapped around and Thresh is replacing Leona. Alright, so why the swap with Nami and Alistar? Well, I do feel like Alistar is a better top laner, and if he isn't picked top laner, then he should be a support. Still very good mid game, but I do feel like Nami is like a better support. She's not so all-in-y, she keeps the team healthy with their heals, she's just all around good and hasn't been nerfed in a while. And then Thresh versus Leona, Thresh does offer more utility, he's also not as all-in as Leona, And yeah, I don't know, I just thought all these nerfs were coming down onto him, but he's still good. And even though they didn't nerf Morgana's damage, her utility is still there, the 3-second binding, so yeah, she's still powerful. Alright, so in the previous top tier list, it was Maokai at number 1, Nidalee at number 2, Aurelia at number 3, Lulu at number 4, and Ryze at number 5. And now in patch 4.14, nothing has really changed in top lane. Maokai is still really strong, and I did forget Alistar. He's like one of the 3 top lanes along with Nidalee and Maokai. And I do feel like Ryze is better than Lulu, at least for solo queue. I do feel like Ryze has more impact late game and mid game, as he is like a hyper carry mage who's really tanky and does a lot of damage, while Lulu is more utility and can still be useful when she feeds. But I do feel like Ryze is overall a bigger threat late and mid game. Now next up is the AD carry tier list. So previously it was Kog'Maw at number 1, Tristana at number 2, Corki at number 3, Jinx at number 4, and Lucian at number 5. And now in the recent patch, Kog'Maw did get a nerf, but he's still at number 1. Even though they did nerf his ultimate and his movement speed a bit, but it doesn't matter, he still does a lot of damage. And since the other AD carries haven't really changed or items, it's relatively the same champions for the tier list. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the new tier list videos. If you did enjoy it, please like, subscribe, and comment below, as I do appreciate everyone who does subscribe to me, since there is the dream of 100,000. So yeah, I am Panta Dragon, and I hope to see you guys next time.